This news is sponsored by DB Bulldogs. Follow on TikTok and Instagram to keep up with their story. I really appreciate you joining me today, and we've got a lot of news to get through. This first story comes from Thames Valley Police, and it involves a man that believed it was okay to cut up an ambulance who was on the way to an emergency call. Albert Butler, 38 years old from Reading, pled guilty to the offences at Reading Magistrates Court on the 10th of August. Appearing again on the 7th of November, he was sentenced to 8 months in prison, suspended for 18 months, and ordered to complete 20 rehabilitation activities, 200 hours of unpaid work over an 18-month period. He was also banned from driving for 3 years and given costs of £600. He faced no charges for driving a Suzuki Vitara. On Wednesday the 2nd of February this year, paramedics in a marked ambulance working for South Central Ambulance Service were driving to Bath Road in Reading towards Maidenhead. They were responding to an emergency call of a man that had fell unconscious. The driver activated the emergency equipment on the ambulance, and this included the lights and sirens. The ambulance overtook the Suzuki that was being driven by Butler. The Suzuki then overtook the ambulance, pulled directly in front of it, and braked intentionally, slowing the ambulance down. The ambulance continued down the A4, and Butler proceeded to overtake other members of the public who had pulled over to allow the ambulance to pass. Butler then slowed down again, blocking the ambulance's path. He then continued to block the path along Windermere Road, where he continued to brake heavily, weave in and out of traffic, and also drive on the wrong side of the road. The driving was caught on the ambulance dashcam and was also partially recorded by the ambulance passenger on her phone. The investigating officer, Sergeant Matt Cadmore from the Road Policing Unit, said the manner of Butler's driving was totally unacceptable. He deliberately tried to hinder the progress of an ambulance, and he was putting other road users at great risk. This sort of behaviour on our roads will not be tolerated, and robust action must be taken for anybody that drives in this manner. Butler will have to complete an extended driving test after his 3-year ban, and he was given the suspended sentence, which means that if he breaks the law in that time period, he will be jailed. This man who thought that it was okay to block the road, this could have been somebody that he cared about, who they were attending the call for, and it definitely highlights road rage and the risks that come with it. So I really want to hear what people have to say on that story. And in some other news as well, coming from Salford, a banned driver has been jailed for 2 years. He had no licence, and the vehicle, of course, wasn't insured. He took police on a 30-minute chase that involved a helicopter having to get involved, and Christopher Porter, 33 years old, crashed the vehicle and was arrested shortly after.
Reading production.
Yeah, 2-1 got him. Here's approaching the end of Dock Road now by the Kellogg's factory. Stand by, and it's right. It's now Park Road southbound, generally towards Kingsway. 2-1 looks like he's giving up. Says stop, stand by. Be mindful of ramming, stand by. Yeah, looks like he is ramming a police vehicle. Stand by. Boss 2-1 male detained, driver detained.
In this next story coming from Hackney in East London, a man has been jailed after he was convicted for robbing a high-value watch from a victim. Lyndall Angel, 32 years old, from Hackney, was jailed for robbery and possessing criminal property at Southwark Crown Court on Monday the 7th of November. On Friday the 21st of January 2022, Angel had planned to steal a Patek watch that was valued at £145,000. It started very simply. Angel was out drinking and he befriended a 51-year-old male in the Strand. He engaged with him in conversation and then convinced him to go to a nearby bar where they then drank for 2 hours. They supposedly exchanged numbers and then Angel took him down a dark street, and CCTV shows the moment that he launched an unprovoked and violent attack and placed him in a chokehold and repeatedly punched him until he fell unconscious. It was at this point that Angel removed the victim's watch from his wrist and made off. A member of the public called the ambulance service and the victim was unconscious for several minutes. He suffered several facial fractures. CCTV and phone work were used to identify Angel. He then became the subject of the proactive robbery team and he evaded capture until Monday the 6th of February when the police located him in a hotel room on Houston Road, Northwest 1. Further searches of a lockup found a large amount of cash and it was seized under the proceeds of crime. The detective in charge of the case said this was a brutal robbery and it led to physical harm and many months of recovery for the victim. And this is also a big warning as well of the risks that are posed when you do wear expensive jewellery out and about in the middle of the street and you're around people that you don't know. So really appreciate you joining me for these updates. Don't forget to follow online as well at Scarcity Studios. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news.